There comes a moment in every man's life when silence becomes his greatest teacher. When the unanswered calls, the unreturned texts, and the sudden distance from someone he once gave everything to no longer feel like punishment, but revelation. A revelation that he was never meant to chase, to beg, or to break himself just to be seen. He was meant to rise. This is not just about a woman who left. This is not about heartbreak or rejection. This is about awakening, about finally realizing that your worth was never up for negotiation, that your value doesn't decrease just because someone failed to see it. What she walked away from was not a man who was weak. She walked away from a man who hadn't yet seen his own strength. But now you see it. You see that her silence is not your prison. It's your path to power. You see that the pain you once felt is no longer a curse. It's fuel. Fuel for the man you are becoming. Stronger, sharper, unshakable. A man who no longer waits for validation, but creates his own legacy. A man who doesn't collapse when someone walks away, but climbs higher in their absence. If you're still stuck in the shadows, waiting for someone to come back, let me be the voice that tells you it's time to stop. Stop waiting. Stop chasing. Stop giving your energy to what's already behind you. This is your moment, your turning point, your evolution. And when you make this decision, truly make it, everything changes. Now let's talk about what that new mindset really looks like. Number 1, the silent battlefield. The first battle is never out there. It's not in arguments, not in loud confrontations, not in who texted last or who walked away first. The real war is silent. It's fought within. It's the war between your emotions and your discipline, between your need for closure and your hunger for growth, between the urge to reach out and the strength to stay still. This battlefield doesn't come with cheers or applause. No one sees the sleepless nights where you stare at your phone and fight the temptation to send that one message. No one hears the war cry in your mind when you want to explain, to remind her of your worth, to say, "Don't forget what we had." But you don't. You stay silent. And that silence is not weakness. It's warfare. It's your weapon. You see, when a man chooses silence not out of fear but out of power, he changes the entire dynamic. He removes himself from the emotional tug of war. He takes back control. While she wonders why you haven't reached out, you are building. While she questions your silence, you are sharpening your mind, your body, your mission. And every moment you don't respond, every day you remain silent, you gain ground. Quietly, strategically, like a warrior who doesn't waste energy swinging at ghosts. This battlefield is not about her. It's about you. It's about choosing not to be reactive, not to let temporary emotion right permanent mistakes. It's about saying, "I will not chase someone who does not recognize my value. I will not negotiate with someone who sees me as an option. I am the prize. And if you cannot see that, then watch me vanish into greatness." Make no mistake, this isn't easy. It takes strength to sit in silence. It takes strength to resist closure, to endure the unknown, to face your own thoughts without distraction. But this is the crucible where great men are forged, in silence, in restraint, in mastering the battlefield that no one else sees. So remember this, your silence is not empty. It is full of power. It is loud in her mind. It echoes louder than any message you could send. It says, "I don't chase what walks away. I elevate in its absence." You don't fight this war with noise. You win it with stillness. The man who wins the silent battlefield wins everything. Number 2, Why silence is her strategy. You think she's quiet because she's over it. You think her silence means she doesn't care. But what if I told you her silence isn't a reaction? It's a strategy. Many women, whether consciously or unconsciously, know the power of withdrawal. They understand that silence can confuse, destabilize, and even control a man who hasn't mastered his emotions. She doesn't need to argue. She doesn't need to explain. All she has to do is disappear. And let your mind do the rest. While you're replaying conversations, questioning your worth, trying to find where it went wrong, she's gaining ground. Why? Because silence triggers a response. It creates emotional friction. It pulls at your insecurities. It makes you wonder, did she ever care? Is she talking to someone else? Was I not enough? And the moment you act from that place, when you text her, when you reach out, when you break your silence, you give her confirmation. You're still emotionally available, still waiting, still affected. Understand this. Silence isn't always rejection. It's a tool, a way to see if you'll chase, a way to test if you'll fold, a way to measure your power or expose your lack of it. But here's the truth most men don't want to hear. Her silence only controls you if you haven't mastered yours. If your self-worth is tied to her attention, her absence will break you. If your peace depends on her validation, her silence will rob you of your sanity. But the man who sees through the game doesn't flinch. He doesn't spiral. He doesn't chase. He observes. He understands. And then, he does the one thing she didn't expect. Nothing. Because he knows silence isn't just her weapon. It's his as well. You must recognize this. In her silence, there's a test, a challenge, a hidden question. Will you abandon yourself trying to reach me? And if you fail that test, if you break your silence too soon, too easily, she learns something. She learns she still has power over you. She learns you can still be pulled back like a puppet on a string. But when you hold steady, when you choose not to respond, not to panic, not to beg, you rewrite the rules. You take her strategy and you flip it. She begins to wonder, why isn't he reacting? Why isn't he trying? Did he move on? Has he forgotten me? Her silence only works if your identity depends on her voice. Once you reclaim your identity, once you ground yourself in self-respect, purpose, and emotional control, her silence becomes meaningless. It no longer feels like rejection. It feels like redirection, a divine pause, a moment where you shift your focus back to your growth, your mission, your value. She may have started the silence to confuse you, but you end it by becoming untouchable in your calm. So the next time she goes silent, don't rush to break the tension. Let it sit. Let it stretch. Let her feel the weight of losing access to a man who now lives beyond reach. Because in the end, silence only defeats the man who fears it. And you? You fear nothing. Not even silence. Number 3. The illusion of moving on. She's laughing on social media. She's posting pictures with friends. Her life looks untouched, unfazed, almost happy. And you start to believe it. She's moved on. You convince yourself that everything meant nothing to her. That while you're sitting in silence, battling memories, she's out there living freely, forgetting you like yesterday's news. But pause for a moment. Ask yourself, is that real? Or is it a performance? See, there's a difference between moving on and pretending you have. There's a difference between healing and hiding. And most people, when they're hurt but not healed, choose the illusion. They showcase strength, not because they feel powerful, but because they're terrified of appearing weak. They smile wide, not because they've let go, but because they're trying to convince themselves that they have. Understand this. Some people don't move on. They just move around. They distract themselves with noise, faces, conversations, and attention. Anything to avoid the silence where truth lives. Anything to escape the stillness where regret speaks loudest. So when you see her posting pictures, laughing with new people, acting unbothered, don't be fooled. That could be her armor. That could be her mask. That could be her escape from the pain she refuses to process. But here's where you win. Not by analyzing her every move, not by wondering if she still thinks about you. You win by not needing the answer anymore. Because the true illusion isn't just her pretending to move on, it's you believing that her healing is your responsibility. That if she looks fine, it means you lost. You didn't lose her. You lost the illusion that you needed her to be whole. What matters isn't if she moved on. What matters is if you woke up. Did you stop defining your worth by her attention? Did you stop looking for closure in her silence? Did you finally look in the mirror and realize you are the closure? You see, true strength is quiet. It doesn't need to prove itself online. It doesn't need the world's applause. True strength is choosing yourself in private when no one is watching. It's rebuilding your life brick by brick, not for revenge, not for show, but because you finally see your value without needing her to confirm it. The man who truly moves on doesn't post about it. He doesn't flaunt it. He simply becomes undeniable. He lets his growth be the only reply he ever gives. So let her post. Let her smile. Let her pretend. Maybe she has moved on. Or maybe, just maybe, she's hoping you'll still care enough to notice. Either way, it doesn't matter. Because your path isn't about proving anything to her anymore. It's about proving everything to yourself. And when that illusion fades, and it will, she'll remember you. Not as the man who begged for another chance, but as the one who walked away in silence and never looked back. 4, the moment you lose. The moment you lose isn't when she walks away. It isn't when she ignores your message. It isn't even when she's with someone else. The real moment you lose is when you lose yourself trying to hold on to her. Let that sink in. You lose the battle, not because she left, but because you began sacrificing your identity just to keep her interested. You silenced your truth. You abandoned your mission. You lowered your standards, ignored your instincts, and traded your strength for the hope of validation. That is the true loss. Not the woman, not the relationship, but the man you became chasing what no longer respected you. You lose the moment you start explaining your worth. You lose when you start begging for her to see it. You lose when you allow her silence to control your spirit. When her distance makes you forget your value, your path, your purpose. Because here's what most men don't realize. She isn't testing your patience. She's testing your identity. When she pulls away, when she creates distance, when she becomes cold or inconsistent, it's not always about hurting you. Sometimes it's about seeing who you really are underneath the pressure. Are you a man grounded in purpose? Or are you just another man willing to fall apart at the first sign of rejection? You lose the moment you stop leading your life. You lose when you wait by the phone, hoping for a text that may never come. You lose when you scroll through her social media, replaying what you used to be. You lose when you start negotiating your self-worth with someone who already questioned it. A man never wins anything by begging. A man never earns back respect by losing his backbone. The moment you choose desperation over dignity is the moment you hand her your power. And trust me, most people don't return what you willingly gave away. But here's the truth. That moment you lose is also the moment you can wake up. Because sometimes it takes losing her to find yourself again. Sometimes the silence, the rejection, the pain, that's what it takes to finally hear the voice you've been ignoring. Your own. You are not here to chase people who don't see you. You are not here to fight for attention that should be given freely. You are here to build, to lead, to grow, to conquer the war within you. So let this be the last time you lose yourself for anyone. Because the world isn't waiting for the man who breaks over her absence. The world is waiting for the man who builds an empire so complete. Her exit feels like the removal of a single stone, not the collapse of the whole foundation. The moment you lost her wasn't your downfall. The moment you lost yourself was. But now you know. And now you rise. Number 5. The power of emotional control. If there is one weapon that separates weak men from unstoppable ones, it's this: emotional control. It's not loud. It doesn't scream. It doesn't beg. It doesn't chase. It stands still, calm, composed, grounded like a mountain. Because a man who controls his emotions cannot be manipulated. He cannot be baited. He cannot be pushed into desperation. And that is terrifying to anyone who once relied on your weakness to feel powerful. You see, when you no longer respond to her games, her silence, her indifference with anxiety or overthinking, something shifts. You stop bleeding energy into the past. You stop handing her the keys to your inner peace. And for the first time, you begin to master the battlefield. Because every relationship, every interaction, every loss is a test. Not of your love, but of your self-respect. Not of your words, but of your reactions. The man who panics when ignored fails. The man who stays grounded wins. She expects your anger. She expects the late-night texts, the emotional outbursts, the desperate need for closure. But when you give her nothing, no reaction, no emotional leakage, no collapse, you flip the script. Now you become the mystery. You become the one she starts thinking about. Not because you chased, but because you didn't. That is the power of emotional control. It is silent, but loud. It says everything, without saying a single word. It makes her question why she left. It makes her wonder why you're not broken. And that confusion, that uncertainty, it's how attraction is reborn, not through pleading, but through presence. But let's be clear, emotional control isn't just about making her regret. That's just a side effect. The real power is in how you elevate yourself. Because when you stop reacting, you start creating. When you stop chasing, you start building. You pour your time, your pain, your silence into your vision, into your body, into your business, into your mind, and suddenly, you're not a man who's been abandoned. You're a man on a mission. You become so dangerous, so focused, so emotionally unreachable, that no one dares to play games with you again. This is the man who becomes unforgettable, not because he said the right words, not because he won her back, but because he walked away with power and never looked back. That is what emotional control gives you. Not just peace in heartbreak, but dominance in life. So remember this: you do not get stronger by controlling her. You get stronger by controlling you. And once you do that, you become the kind of man no woman forgets and no world can defeat. Number 6, your new mindset. Your transformation doesn't begin with a new woman. It begins with a new mind, A mind that no longer waits for permission to heal. A mind that no longer asks, "Will she come back?" but declares, "I will never go back to who I was." Because the man you used to be, the one who over-explained himself, who tolerated disrespect, who chased love like it was oxygen, he's gone. You buried him the moment you decided to stop living your life through someone else's eyes. This is your rebirth, and it starts with one powerful, unshakable truth. You are the source, not her, not their validation, not their attention. You are the source of your strength. You are the architect of your peace. You are the fire that will forge the next chapter of your life. Because here's the hard truth most men never accept. You will never build a powerful life with a weak mindset. You will never attract high-value people while operating with low self-respect. And you will never reclaim your power if you keep replaying old memories like they hold your future. Enough. Today, the man you become is no longer built around what she did or didn't do. Your life is no longer a reaction to her absence. It is a creation of your purpose. You are not the man who waits by the phone. You are not the man refreshing her social media, trying to decode her silence. You are not the man who lets rejection define his identity. You are now the man who builds. The man who wakes up with discipline, who trains his body, sharpens his mind, expands his vision. A man who no longer fears solitude, because he understands that solitude builds kings. You stop seeking peace in her return, because you have finally discovered it in your presence. You stop needing her love to feel valuable, because you have awakened to the love you were denying yourself for years. Self-respect, self-worth, self-mastery. This is your new mindset. You no longer chase anyone who walks away. You no longer beg to be seen. You no longer lower your standards to be kept. Because your life is no longer about proving your worth. It's about embodying it. The man who chases becomes forgettable. The man who builds becomes unforgettable. So choose wisely. You can continue being the man who reacts, who waits, who bleeds energy into people who don't respect it. Or you can become the man who no longer looks back, because his future is too powerful to ignore. From this moment forward, you don't just walk differently. You think differently. You move with purpose. You speak with calm authority. You live like a man who knows exactly who he is, even if no one else sees it yet. This is your new identity. Unshaken, unchained, unstoppable. And the next time someone from your past looks at you, they won't see the man they walked away from. They'll see the man they'll never have access to again. 7. The art of vanishing. There is a difference between disappearing and vanishing with purpose. When most men walk away, they do it out of pain, out of confusion, out of a desperate attempt to get noticed. But the man who truly understands his value, he doesn't vanish to be seen. He vanishes to rebuild. You don't disappear as a tactic. You vanish as a strategy. You vanish not to hurt her, but to heal you. Because the version of you that needed constant reassurance, that feared being forgotten, that tied his identity to how she treated him, that version has no place in the life you're building now. When you vanish, it's not an escape. It's a return to your core, a return to your mission, a return to the man you were before love made you forget your strength. Vanishing is not weakness. It is a silent declaration. I no longer place myself where I am not respected. I no longer remain where my value is overlooked. I do not beg to be kept. Let them wonder where you went. Let them question your silence. Let them feel the absence of your energy, your presence, your attention, because now that energy belongs somewhere else. In your body, as you rebuild it with discipline. In your purpose, as you pursue something greater than validation. In your future, as you create a life that no one can take from you. You're no longer available for manipulation, no longer available for mixed signals, no longer available for people who show up only when they're bored. You vanish because access to you is no longer free. And when she thinks of you, because she will, it won't be with certainty. It will be with confusion. It will be with regret. Because now she's watching a man she once took for granted evolve into someone she can no longer reach. Not because you're hiding, but because you've leveled up so far that her version of you no longer exists. That's the art of vanishing. Not just walking away, but rising so high that the old life can no longer follow you. This is not revenge. This is reinvention. So remember this. Disappear from chaos. Vanish from disrespect. Withdraw from anything that costs your peace. And when you return, not to her, but to the world, you will walk as a man transformed. Not the one who begged to be understood, but the one who is no longer available for misunderstanding. That's how you become unforgettable, not by fighting for attention, but by mastering the art of vanishing to become someone they'll never deserve again. Number 8, the strength in moving forward. There's a common myth that the key to winning back someone's heart is to hold on tighter. That by chasing them, by showing them how much you care, you will eventually break through their defenses. But the truth is, the tighter you hold, the farther they run. In love, in life, and in everything you pursue, there is one undeniable fact. Strength is found in moving forward, not in holding on. Let me explain. When you're stuck in the past, whether it's a relationship, a failed attempt, or a memory that won't let you go, you become stagnant. You lose your power because you're holding on to something that no longer serves you. The real power, the real strength, is in accepting the truth that the past cannot be changed and walking forward into the life you deserve. You see, when you stop chasing someone who has already walked away, you stop giving them control over your emotions. You stop allowing their absence to dictate your worth. Moving forward doesn't just mean walking away physically. It means mentally, emotionally, and spiritually letting go. The longer you hold on to the past, the more it defines you. It keeps you from seeing the greater potential that lies ahead. It keeps you from the new opportunities, the new connections, the new life that's waiting for you. This isn't about forgetting the person you once loved. It's about embracing your worth so fully that no one has the power to diminish it. The true test of a man isn't whether he can get a woman to come back. The true test is whether he can move forward without her and do it with strength. You don't need to look back. You don't need to chase. You don't need to beg. What you need is to focus on building the future, one where you are the hero of your own story. This is the shift you make. You stop searching for validation. You stop trying to fix what's broken. You stop living in a chapter that's already been written. You rise above the hurt. You move forward with conviction. And when you do, that's when you'll notice something. People will start to look at you differently, not because you're trying to get their attention, but because you've become a man who is too busy creating his own success to be pulled back into the past. You see, when you stop chasing, you make room for the things that are meant for you. You free up your energy for the greater things that life has to offer. You stop being the person who is defined by someone else's decision, and you start becoming the person who defines his own future. So walk away from the past. Move forward, and when you do, watch as the world starts to make space for the powerful man you are becoming. This isn't a setback. This is your comeback.